World War II made the Colt M1911A1 a legend, but here's the part most people don't know. Today we're examining every major pistol and revolver used by the United States during World War II, from the iconic M1911A1 to the forgotten revolvers that quietly served alongside it. And we begin with the pistol that became an icon. Colt M1911A1. No handgun is more closely associated with the United States military than the M1911A1. Designed by John Browning and officially adopted in 1911, it fired the powerful .45 ACP cartridge from a 7-round detachable magazine. The pistol earned an outstanding reputation during World War I, and by 1941 it remained America's standard military sidearm. Manufactured by Colt, Remington Rand, Ithaca, Union Switch and Signal, and even Singer Sewing Machine, over 2 million M1911A1 pistols were produced during the war. American soldiers carried it onto the beaches of Normandy. Marines carried it across the Pacific Islands. Paratroopers jumped into occupied Europe with it strapped to their gear. Its stopping power, reliability, and rugged simplicity made it one of the most successful military pistols ever built. Yet, even with millions produced, the military still needed additional handguns. That's where the revolvers came in. Smith & Wesson Victory Model. The most common American revolver of World War II was the Smith & Wesson Victory Model, essentially a wartime version of the military and police revolver. It was chambered primarily in .38 Special for American forces. More than 850,000 were produced during the war. Victory models armed military police, security personnel, air crews, naval crews, and countless support troops. Their simple double-action design and excellent reliability made them ideal wartime sidearms. Many were also supplied to Allied nations through Lend-Lease. But Smith & Wesson wasn't the only revolver manufacturer supporting the war effort. Smith & Wesson Military and Police. The Victory model was only one member of a much larger family. Commercial and pre-war military and police revolvers remained in widespread service throughout World War II. Many stateside units, training facilities, and security organizations continued using them well into the war years. Colt Official Police. The Colt Official Police became another important revolver during World War II. Originally designed for law enforcement use, the revolver was adopted by various military organizations and security forces. Military police units particularly valued its durability and accuracy. Though overshadowed by the Victory model, thousands served faithfully throughout the conflict. Another Colt revolver would also find a wartime role. Colt New Service. The large Colt New Service revolver had already served through World War I. Although no longer considered modern by the 1940s, many remained in military inventories. These revolvers were often issued to guards, training units, and personnel stationed away from frontline combat. Their continued service demonstrated how rapidly expanding armed forces often relied on older weapons to fill gaps in supply. Yet some of America's oldest revolvers were still being pressed into service. Colt M1917 revolver. When America entered World War II, significant numbers of M1917 revolvers remained in storage. Originally developed during World War I, the M1917 fired .45 ACP ammunition using half-moon clips. The revolver allowed troops to use the same ammunition as the M1911 pistol. Although largely a secondary weapon by World War II, many saw service with military police, guards, and training units. And Colt wasn't alone in producing this wartime veteran. Smith & Wesson M1917. Smith & Wesson's version of the M1917 revolver also remained in military inventories. Like its Colt counterpart, it chambered the powerful .45 ACP cartridge and used moon clips for rapid reloading.
Though no longer frontline equipment, these revolvers helped equip America's rapidly expanding wartime forces. But while revolvers continued serving important roles, the future was becoming increasingly clear. Colt Police Positive. Smaller and lighter than the official police, the Colt Police Positive and Police Positive Special also appeared in wartime service. These revolvers were commonly issued to guards, stateside security personnel, and various military installations. Colt Detective Special. The compact Colt Detective Special became one of the most popular concealed carry revolvers of its era. Military investigators, intelligence personnel, and officers often favored it due to its small size and reliability. But while revolvers remained useful, the future clearly belonged to semi-automatic pistols, and some of the most interesting examples were carried far from the front lines. Colt Pocket Harmless. One of the most popular personal handguns among American officers was the Colt Pocket Harmless. Despite its name, it actually contained an internal hammer. Available in .32 ACP and .38 ACP, it was compact, reliable, and easy to conceal. Many senior officers, investigators, and intelligence personnel often favored it due to its small size and reliability. Its popularity even extended to some of America's most famous commanders. Privately purchased sidearms. Unlike many armies, the U.S. military often tolerated privately owned handguns. Officers frequently carried personal revolvers and pistols purchased before the war. Popular choices included Colt automatics, Smith & Wesson revolvers, and compact pocket pistols. One famous example was General George Patton, who became almost as recognizable for his handguns as for his leadership. Patton famously carried a Colt single-action Army revolver and a Smith & Wesson .357 Magnum revolver, making him one of the few senior commanders still carrying revolvers into the modern era. Yet the most secretive American operatives carried something entirely different.
High Standard HDM silenced pistol. Perhaps the most famous American clandestine handgun of the war was the High Standard HDM. Chambered in .22 long rifle and fitted with an integral suppressor, it was designed for covert operations. The Office of Strategic Services, the OSS, America's wartime intelligence agency, used these pistols for clandestine missions behind enemy lines. For sabotage teams and secret agents, silence could be more valuable than firepower. High Standard HD Military. The unsuppressed High Standard HD Military also saw service with intelligence personnel and special operators. Accurate and reliable, it became a useful training and field weapon for covert missions. FN Browning 1910 and 1922. Although foreign-designed, FN pistols frequently appeared in OSS operations throughout occupied Europe. Compact and easily concealed, these handguns were supplied to agents and resistance fighters conducting clandestine warfare against Axis forces. Colt Woodsman. Another favorite among some OSS personnel was the Colt Woodsman. Originally a sporting pistol, its accuracy and low recoil made it suitable for specialized covert tasks. While never a standard military weapon, it became one of several unusual handguns used in America's shadow war. By the end of World War II, the lessons of modern warfare were becoming impossible to ignore. Semi-automatic pistols offered faster reloads, greater ammunition capacity, and superior combat effectiveness. The M1911A1 had proven itself across every battlefield on Earth. Meanwhile, revolvers increasingly found themselves restricted to secondary roles: military police, guards, air crews, support personnel. The transition was underway, and there would be no turning back. Future American sidearms would almost exclusively be semi-automatic pistols. But before that future arrived, revolvers and pistols fought side by side in the largest conflict humanity had ever seen. The story of American handguns during World War II is ultimately a story of transition. The legendary M1911A1 demonstrated why the semi-automatic pistol would dominate the decades to come. Yet revolvers, such as the Smith & Wesson Victory Model, Colt Official Police, and M1917, continued serving faithfully wherever reliable sidearms were needed. Next time, every U.S. submachine gun used in World War II, explained.